Baby Registry Essentials. What a newborn actually needs, and what can wait. A parenting guide from Creative Minds Montessori. The 100-item must-have checklist is a marketing document, not a syllabus. A newborn's real list is short: a correctly installed car seat, a firm, flat, bare sleep surface, food, diapers, a few clothes, and you. Spend your research hours and real money on the two safety-critical items, happily borrow or buy used almost everything else after a recall check, and hold the bright lines: no used car seats with unknown history, no inclined sleepers or padded bumpers ever. This is not medical advice. Your pediatrician and a certified car seat technician beat any checklist. Start with the math of the mismatch. The standard retailer checklist runs 100 to 120 items, and by the registry industry's own accounting, the average registry lists around $3,000 of goods, with parents reporting something like a full work week of research. Set that against what a newborn actually requires: a safe car seat, a safe place to sleep, food, diapers, a handful of clothes, and warm adults who show up. Everything else is optional. The gap between those two lists is not your confusion. It's the business model. The registry is the marketing funnel. A first-time parent who doesn't yet know what they need is the ideal customer for a checklist written by a retailer. And the emotional mechanism is precise. An expecting parent's deepest fear is that they won't be able to adequately care for this baby, and products are positioned as competence you can purchase. The smart sock, the tracking scale, the monitor that watches the monitor. Buying feels like preparing, which is exactly why the anxiety never ends at the checkout. You can't purchase your way to feeling ready. The stakes underneath are genuinely high, which is why the anxiety feels rational rather than silly. One large 2025 parenting media survey put the average first year with a baby at more than $20,000, and found the overwhelming majority of surveyed mothers said finances weighed on their mental health. There's an identity layer too. At 2 a.m., registry choices get read as statements about what kind of parent you'll be. That's how a bassinet choice produces tears. And notice the two-sided trap. Maximalism says buy everything, while minimalism as content makes underbuying a performance you can also fail. Expecting families have always assembled a kit for the new baby. It's called a layette, and it's centuries old. In the 1920s it was typically hand-knitted by the mother or her relatives: a blanket, a hat, a sweater, booties. The list was short because hands, not factories, made it. And because there was never a strict definition of what a layette must contain, the list could grow without limit once someone was selling it. The handmade bundle became a store department, then a 100-item digital registry. What changed over a century isn't what babies need. It's that the list got an owner, and the owner is a store. What the phone adds is reach and intimacy. Targeted advertising knows you're pregnant. In one famous case, a retailer's purchase pattern models flagged a teenager's pregnancy before her father knew. The second trimester is the industry's prime acquisition window, and brands recruit pregnant creators because a registry must-haves video reads as pure advice rather than advertising. But the same phone genuinely helps where it counts. Recall databases let you vet any used item by model number in one search. Buy nothing groups move barely used gear between families at scale, and cash fund registries let your people fund meals and doula hours instead of objects. 3 common moves, honestly. The first, register for everything, just in case. The upside is real. Working the full checklist reduces decision fatigue, gift givers fund a large share of it, and nothing catches you unprepared at 3 a.m. The catch, the never-used pile is boringly predictable. Wipe warmers, bottle warmers, baby food makers, newborn shoes, and changing tables recur on virtually every regret list ever written. The storage burden lands during your most chaotic months. Clutter itself is a documented stressor for new parents, and the spending displaces money the $20,000 first year will want back. The second move, hardline minimalism. Real savings, and it correctly identifies that most gear is optional. But its own practitioners admit minimalism with a newborn is mostly wishful thinking. Some conveniences earn their shelf space: a bouncer that buys you a shower, a bassinet that buys you sleep, and a rigid pledge becomes its own shame spiral the day you cave. Refusing all gifts also blocks a real love language. The third move: secondhand everything. Massive savings and environmental sanity, but the catch is the safety line people miss. A short list of categories should essentially never be secondhand, and the checking falls to you. Hold this as a tendency, not a rule. The pregnant partner is usually the one marinating in the content. The apps, the targeted ads, and the registry checklists all aim at her from the second trimester on, so she often carries both the research load and the anxiety load. The other partner sees the pile of boxes and the credit card bill and reads it as excess. Both are reacting to something real. And the reverse split happens too. Sometimes the non-pregnant partner goes gear maximal, because researching spec sheets is a socially sanctioned way to participate in a pregnancy happening in someone else's body. Gear can be a love language and an anxiety outlet. The fight is rarely about the wipe warmer. It's about whether the family feels ready, with money stress as the accelerant. So make it teamwork before it's a fight. Set the gear budget together before building the registry. Split research domains by interest, not gender. One of you owns car seat research, the other owns the sleep setup. And most powerfully, agree on the short needs list first, so every later disagreement is explicitly about nice-to-haves, which drops the temperature. For single parents, the registry is partly how your village funds you. Don't let minimalist guilt block that support. The needs list is identical for every family shape. The principle across all three methods: you can't research your way to certainty about a person who hasn't arrived yet. You can only shrink the list, aim the money at the actual risk, and let everything else arrive used, borrowed, or later. The first method, write two lists: needs first, everything else after. This works because a newborn's true needs list is short and knowable, so separating it converts an infinite comparison problem into a small, finishable one. The needs list, roughly: a car seat, a sleep surface meeting current federal standards with a firm mattress and fitted sheets, your feeding plan supplies, diapers and wipes, 8 to 10 basic outfits, kimono-style tops, avoid the over-the-head wrestling, some way to hold the baby hands-free, and a thermometer with a basic health kit. That's the whole syllabus. A bassinet covers roughly the first 6 months, so even the crib can wait. Run it in order. Starting around the second trimester, write the needs list from a non-retailer source and register those items to doneness. Then add nice-to-haves that each answer 3 questions: is it necessary? Can we borrow it? Can we get it used? For everything else, adopt the rule that saves the most money and sanity: buy it when a real problem appears. Stores deliver in a day. You do not need to pre-solve hypothetical problems in your 7th month. Frame it to grandparents as, the important list is done, everything else is bonus, and consider registering for meals and doula hours alongside objects. The saboteur is opening the retailer's checklist first and letting it define the categories. The second method, spend where the risk is. Gear risk is wildly concentrated. The car seat and the sleep environment are the only 2 registry categories where product choices genuinely affect survival. Nearly everything else is preference wearing a safety costume. For the car seat, buy it new or only from someone whose full history you know, register it for recall notices, plan rear facing from birth, and get the installation checked free by a certified child passenger safety technician. For sleep, any crib meeting the 2011 federal standard, or any product legally marketed for infant sleep under the 2021 federal rule. Firm, flat, a tight-fitted sheet, and nothing else in it. By stage, this compresses neatly. Research the 2 categories in the second trimester, buy and install in the third, and have the install checked before your due date. Then cheerfully go cheap, used, or borrowed on nearly everything else, without guilt, because the 2 things that matter are done. What to expect is the quiet payoff veteran parents report. We got the 2 big things right as a finish line, and it beats we bought all 120 things as a definition of ready. The sabotaging mistake is spreading your research hours evenly across the whole checklist. agonizing equally over bottle brands and crash protection. That's the marketing sense of proportion, not the risks. The third method, run the second-hand playbook, with bright lines. Babies use most gear for weeks to months, which makes the second-hand economy the sane default, provided you hold the lines most casual thrifters skip. Green light used freely, clothes, books, toys after a recall check, bathtubs, furniture, storage, and decor. Yellow light, fine if complete, uncracked, unrecalled, and ideally from someone you trust, strollers, high chairs, carriers, playmats, monitors, and activity centers. The savings are real. One family spent $20 total on new gear, and the $60 snowsuit turns up for $3 with the tag still on. Now the red light list, never used regardless of condition. Car seats, because crash history is invisible and seats expire. Cribs made before 2011 and any drop-side crib, used crib mattresses, breast pump motors and bottle nipples, and any inclined sleeper or padded crib bumper, which aren't merely risky but banned products that still circulate. The rhythm, joined by nothing groups early in pregnancy. Check every used or gifted item's model number against the CPSC recall database, tell people plainly that you welcome hand-me-downs, and post the red light list where gifting grandparents can see it. That converts we're being cheap into we follow the safety rules. Here is the entire spec sheet, from the customer's perspective. A newborn perceives faces at nursing distance, voices, warmth, milk, motion, and being held. A newborn cannot tell a $1,500 bassinet from a borrowed one, or a curated nursery from a dresser drawer. The nursery aesthetic is for the adults, which is allowed, just name it as yours. What the baby asks of the gear is short: keep me safe in the car, give me a firm flat bare place to sleep, feed me, keep me warm and dry, and be near me. And the one thing stuff can crowd out is the thing no store sells: a rested, unstressed parent. Your baby has never seen a registry. The baby's list has 6 things on it, and you're 4 of them. Here's why childcare belongs in a registry article. In many markets, infant room waitlists run from months to a year, so touring centers and joining lists while pregnant is normal, not neurotic. And childcare, not gear, is the biggest line item of the first year, which means every dollar of registry restraint funds the thing that actually matters. There's a gear payoff too. A licensed infant room supplies most daytime equipment, cribs meeting the same federal standards, usually the sheets, sometimes even formula or diapers. Parents typically send labeled bottles, the day's milk or formula, diapers and wipes, changes of clothes, and a sleep sack. You do not need a second full setup for daycare. Touring while expecting also gets you a sales-free second opinion. Ask any infant room the safety-literate questions. Do your cribs meet current CPSC standards? Is your sleep policy AAP aligned? Alone, on the back, bare crib, nothing added, no inclined products? What do you provide versus what do we send? How do you handle breast milk storage? Do you keep feeding logs and send daily reports? How do you support the transition, gradual starts, midday visits for nursing parents? A center that answers crisply has trained staff, and an experienced infant teacher who has seen hundreds of newborns will happily tell you which gear families actually use. When home and center follow the same safe sleep script, every nap runs on one consistent set of rules. This is not medical advice. Talk to your pediatrician. Almost everything in this guide is preference. This part is not. Safe sleep. Baby sleeps alone, on the back, on a firm, flat surface that meets current federal standards, with a tight-fitted sheet and nothing else. No pillows, blankets, bumpers, positioners, weighted products, or stuffed toys. Room share, the baby's own surface in your room, ideally for the first 6 months. It's associated with substantially lower risk. No bed sharing, and no sleeping in swings or loungers. Falling asleep with an infant on a couch or armchair is among the most dangerous arrangements known. Inclined sleepers and padded crib bumpers are banned hazardous products under the Safe Sleep for Babies Act, illegal to sell, yet they keep resurfacing secondhand. One recalled inclined sleeper alone has been linked to roughly 100 infant deaths, dozens of them after the recall. If a hand-me-down sleep product reclines, pads, or nests, the answer is no, regardless of condition or how sweetly it was offered. The car seat, rear-facing from birth, as long as the seat's limits allow. Never use a seat with a crash history, unknown age, missing parts, or a recall. Register it and get the installation checked free. And politely decline the attic crib unless it's verifiably post-2011 with a new firm mattress. Two truths get to coexist. Most of the registry is genuinely optional, and some optional thing will genuinely save your particular sanity, and nobody can tell you in advance which one. A doula who spent years inside other families' postpartum homes put it plainly, no pile of products ever made a family feel ready. What eased the transition was rest, food, help, and a cared-for mother. Overbuyers aren't fools, they're scared and generous. Underbuyers aren't saints. Preparation was never a pile of objects. It's the two safety calls made correctly, a short list finished, a support plan for the humans, and permission to solve every other problem when it actually arrives. Your baby has never seen an influencer's nursery. You are the thing your baby needs. For the full guide and more parenting resources, visit creativemindsmontessori.com/parenting.